So I will not talk about money, and I'll not talk about capital, I'll not talk about assets, I'll talk about relationships. When we use the word family business, usually the word family connotes warmth and kindness and generosity. But very often when you deal with family businesses, and I have the opportunity of dealing with a few, I don't find the warmth and generosity and kindness. I usually see a lot of tension, and I see a lot of anger, and I'll see a lot of frustration, which is masked by very genteel, polite behavior in public. And I think in conferences such as this, we should spend time and look beyond the mask and focus on the issues that really matter, because it plays a key role in decision making, it plays a key role in division of the family wealth, in division of the family responsibilities, in division of the workload that has to be managed in organizations. We have to deal with the tensions that come between what is called professionals and family members in managing businesses. It plays an extremely critical role. One just has to open the newspaper to see the tensions that are emerged, and the tensions which have a huge impact on business, because the bitterness and anger that can exist within a family, between generations, inside a generation, between cousins, brothers, siblings, parents, children, it can be quite nasty, and only a tip of the iceberg comes in newspapers, but we all know what we are talking about. So what my talk is going to focus on is on the essential nature of relationships. Because if we focus on relationships, we can handle both. We can handle the professional and the personal, and I think it's very important, and that's why Indian mythology plays a very key role, because in Indian thought, you cannot separate emotions from actions. Actions are just a physical manifestations of emotion. You cannot measure emotions though, you can only measure actions. And in the Western model, a great importance is given to the action, to the behavioral side of things, and the assumption is behavior is equal to emotions. While in Indian, it is clearly saying that behavior is sagun, measurable, and emotions is nirgun, cannot be measured. And it is this emotional architecture that we have to manage in order to have a successful business. Let me ask a fundamental question to people in this room. How many of you all have made a will? So the rest think we are immortal. Yudhishthira asks in the Mahabharata, the Yaksha asks Yudhishthira, what is the greatest wonder in the world? And Yudhishthira says, every day people die, and the rest live as if they are immortal. This was written over 2,000 years ago. It's true then, it is true today, it will be true 2,000 years later. Because humans are not rational creatures, as management would like us to believe, as technocrats would like us to believe, as MBA gurus would like us to believe, as scientists would like us to believe. Humans are not rational. We are not rational creatures who try to be emotional or who become emotional. We're emotional creatures who try to be rational, which means half the times we are rationalizing our emotional behavior. And therefore, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and all the Purans have to be seen not from the lens of rationality, but to understand emotions and the underlying power dynamics which happens in a family ecosystem where there is no wisdom. And that is the important thing, the word wisdom. People often tell me that, नहीं, पहले पैसे की बात करो, उसके बाद हम भगवद गीता की बात करेंगे. And basically what they are saying, हमारे घर में महाभारत आने दो, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Because if you do not imbibe wisdom from an early age in the family, you are going to face tension, because that is the way human beings are. And I want to take you on this journey, a long journey, which will help you understand the fundamentals of those factors that govern relationships. Once you understand these, I will not tell you stories from the Ramayana, Mahabharata, that's easy. I want to go a layer below that to the fundamentals, what is called Sanatan or timeless truths. This will apply no matter where you live. It is not an Indian idea. This is a global idea. It will apply to the French, it will apply to the Germans, it will apply to Donald Trump, it will apply to Narendra Modi, it will apply to Sushma Swaraj, it applies to everybody. It applies to the Ambanis, the Adanis, the Tatas, the Birlas, to every human being on earth. This principle will apply. It doesn't change. And therefore, we will take the next half an hour to 45 minutes to go through this, after which I'll answer your questions. Yeah? So the first question is, do you want to see or do you don't want to see? This is a fundamental Indian principle. So Indian principle is what I would call, I use the word Digambar Parampara. Digambar means a person who owns nothing. Digambara. Now it is not to be taken literally. It means someone who observes the world for what it is without trying to change it. And therefore in Indian traditions you will see a great importance given to the holy man who looks, jo dekhta hai. And therefore the value given to the concept of darshan, dekho, look at the world. Look at the world carefully. And the person who sees is called a rishi. Rishi is a person who can see what others cannot see. So it's basically a person who just doesn't have sight. He's a person who has insight. And a good businessman needs to have insight. Not just consumer insight, also employee insight, insight into the family, recognizing the insecurities and the hungers of the people that he is seeing. So the first thing that you see is, do you want to see the world? The concept of seeing, these are the wise sages. The gods have these large eyes. They are seeing, darshan kar rahe hain. Not sight, but insight. So it's not data, but it is facts. It is not facts, but it is knowledge. It is not knowledge, but it is wisdom. How much can you see? Tum kitna dekh sakte ho? Can you see long term ki these two brothers will never get along? So don't even try to put them together. Separate the business right from the beginning. Knowing that this child of mine, however wonderful he is, cannot manage the complexities of the business. Usko alag kar do pehle se hi. Don't have delusions of grandeur that the person born of your body will be smarter than maybe your nephew or your niece. If you don't have wisdom, putra moha mein ho jaoge, and that is where the problem starts. Daddy will not let go of the gaddi, and the brothers will fight over the gaddi, which is the story of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. That is all it is, property dispute. Kaikeyi fights for her children. So you have Ram and Bharat, tension between the two. You have Vali and Sugriv fighting. You have Ravan and Kuber fighting. You have the Pandavas and the Kauravas fighting. It is Sanatana. It's generation after generations fighting over what? Property. The wise man sees, darshan karo. Don't just see the story and come to judgment. No judgment. See, look, look, look. Only when you see, when your data is clear, will you be able to understand how to navigate these dangerous waters. What do you see? You have to first see the world of physics, the world of Mahabhuta, elements, things, the world of things, the world of objects, the world of stone and water and wind and fire. These are non-living things. The world of physics is the world of non-living things. Ajeev, जिसमें जान नहीं होता है. There is no living thing here. Versus the world of biology, the world of plants and animals, charachar ki dunya. Now what is the difference between the living and the non-living world? What is the fundamental difference? What is it about a living thing that separates it from non-living things? A living thing is hungry. उसको भूख लगती है. It is always running after food, like this plant growing towards sunlight or its roots going towards water. It lives for food, it consumes, it is consuming all the time. So it has every living creature in the world. When you see a bird flying, they're moving in the direction of food. When you see a tiger running, it is moving in the direction of food. When you see fish moving, it is moving in the direction of food. Everybody is moving in the direction of food. Food is the goal of existence, because without food, I will not survive. My metabolic activity won't take place. Clouds don't run after food. Water doesn't run after food. Fire doesn't run after food. Living creatures run after food. This is the first principle we have to acknowledge, कि जहाँ पे जीव होगा, वहाँ पे भूख होगा. Wherever there is life, there is hunger. Now in corporate world, we don't use the word hunger. We use words like ambition, desire, goal, objective. These are nice corporate words. If you want to talk at ground level, bhuka hai ye. If there is no hunger, you will not be thinking of a big business. You will not say, I want to double my income. I want to increase my brand value. I want to be in the Fortune 500 list. ये सब भूख के अलग-अलग रूप हैं. As far as the Rishi was concerned, ये जानवर को भूख है. It would never judge कितना भूख ठीक है. Because if you don't have hunger, why would you innovate? Why would you create industry? Why would you establish culture? Why would you set up factories? Why would you invest in the stock market? So bhook is there. Don't fight it. There is hunger. All living creatures are hungry. They will consume. They will eat. Which means when they eat, something will die. For life feeds on life. You want to eat fruits and vegetables? You have to destroy the forest to create an orchard and a field from which your organic food will come. And in the process of your organic food coming, lots of rats will be killed because we don't want pests to spoil our food. So there is always going to be hunger. तो जहाँ जीव है वहाँ भूख है, जहाँ भूख है वहाँ पे भोग होगा, जहाँ भोग होगा वहाँ बलि होगी. Something will die. Now that brings us to the world of, when you see this, it becomes very obvious. Look at this image. There is a deer running fast and there is a cheetah running after the deer. Now when I ask in most forums, who would you want to save? What is the likely answer you are going to get? The most likely answer you will get is, let us save the deer, because in our minds, that poor deer is the victim. But look at it very carefully. Both are hungry for different things. The cheetah is hungry for food. The deer is hungry for security. Both are hungry for something. So somebody comes to you and tells, I want my business to grow, my assets to grow. The other says, I want to protect my assets. Kal ko chala na jaye. I want to de-risk myself. I want to protect what I have earned. So ek hiran hota, there's a deer and there is a tiger present in all of us. So hunger becomes a complex architect. So not only do I see hunger in people, I also see fear and insecurity. The fear that I will die. Look at the two types of fear over here, or two types of hunger. You can use whichever word you want. The predator, which is hungry, कि मुझे चाहिए, I want something in life. And the deer, which is saying, I want to be safe, I want to be safe. These are the two emotions that you handle in your business all the time. It happens in every aspect of business. Simple thing, even if you're going to buy a washing machine, first thing you will check is value for money. Am I getting a product value for money? So you're hungry for the great washing machine, you want the perfect washing machine, the perfect brand, you're driven by hunger. Once you buy it, your insecurity comes up. Oh my God, will there be guarantee, warranty, after sale service? Fear comes back. You want to protect what you possess. So step one, I want to possess. Step two, I want to protect. And this is fundamental. This is for your children. You want to provide for your children and protect your children. You want to provide for your business and you want to protect your business. It applies at every level. Every employee is joining you because they want you there. You are the source of food. You are also the source of security. मुझे गवर्नमेंट जॉब चाहिए, क्यों? नहीं, परमानेंट जॉब है. Security is what he's seeking. But that's not enough, right? If we got the government job, he should be doing a perfect, good government job. But they don't, right? We know how bureaucrats function. Because उससे भूख थोड़ी ना मिटती है. Once you are in a comfort zone, hunger will come back with a vengeance. And why is that? You see, now look at the whole of nature. You look at the migratory patterns. Why do people migrate? Why are people moving to Europe right now? Why are decisions on migrations taking place? Because food, it is all about food. Where there is food, I will travel there. When refugees come to a country, because they have no food there, they have no security there. Why are people territorial? ये मेरा इलाका है. You can't come in this territory. And therefore you are seeing conversations of great leaders saying that you are illegal alien, you have to be kicked out of the country because my share of wealth, my share of employment is threatened. Suddenly you realize I'm using images of dogs and animals, but really I'm talking about very great leaders who appear on the Arnab show. Because humans show all these characteristics, and this is what you observe. This is darshan. Rivalry. Are we talking about animals or two brothers fighting over a conglomerate? Who will be the alpha? Who will claim the territory? वाली और सुग्रीव के बीच में किष्किंधा में युद्ध हो रहा है over a mango grove, over a banana grove, but actually that could be a corporation fighting as who shall be the pretender and who shall be the king. Unless we acknowledge these realities, we will not be able to handle the crisis that we will continuously encounter in day-to-day life. Organizations. We want organization. Look at organization in jungles. There is the predator, a wolf pack. A wolf pack ready to catch the prey. So it's called teamwork. Teamwork का मतलब भेड़िए के जैसे भागो उसके पीछे. Now if I say this, it sounds horrible, but that's the roots of it. Or a herd of deer, when we are together, we can protect ourselves. The chances of us protecting ourselves is greater if we join hands together. And now you look at all the countries in the world forming different kinds of groups. Are they predators or are they prey? Are they a pack of wolves running after to catch the kill? Or are they a herd of deer which is trying to protect itself? When we use words like motivation and drive, it comes from hunger and fear. Or the most perfect organizations, there is the pecking order. Raja kaun, praja kaun, who is king, who shall bow before whom, who is the karta and who is the karyakarta, who shall submit. Look at that monkey, alpha, beta, gamma, omega. हर organization में दिखाई देता है. Who is the alpha? Who will get the best parking spot? Who will get the best cabin? Whose cabin will have a window? Who can come to office whenever he wants while everybody else is to come on time? Who is not allowed to swipe a card? Small things, जिससे power पता चलता है. Or the queen bee, one of the most favorite models in many family businesses, where the owner of the company is the queen bee and everybody else is the worker bee. I will tell you to do, you will do. Very nice model, does not allow for expansion of the business. And survives only till the Raja is there. When the Raja goes away, everything collapses. And the Raja, of course, thinks he's immortal, so never makes a will. Never does talent management. Terrified of the next generation. Madhumakhi. But you see it everywhere. You just have to travel across companies. Go to Gurgaon, go to BKC, and you'll say, oh, wolf pack. Oh, herd of deer. There is the queen bee. And you really realize you're in the forest. Ab वन में हो. Are we dealing with humans at all? How are humans different? पशु और पुरुष में फर्क क्या है? And then you realize that humans are 99% animals. We are animals. This सब अंदर है. It's all those millions and millions of years of evolution, those fear, that hunger, those organizational capabilities, sab bhitar hai. Everything is inside us. This is true everywhere, any part of the world you go to, this is true. Ki pashu hamare bhitar hai. What is different? Difference is the fact that we are animals with larger brains, larger compared to our body size, and this gives us one unique capability. It allows us to imagine. It allows us to imagine. Kalpana ki shakti, manasa, the ability to imagine. And what does imagination do? Imagination and takes us to the world of psychology. So world of physics khatam ho gaya, world of biology khatam ho gaya. Khatam nahi hua. In the sense it's expanded to be biology, and biology expands into the world of psychology. One of the most complicated worlds, because here measurements don't work. All the psychologists will tell you measurements are a very complicated and controversial issue in the world of psychology. You can't measure depression. You can't measure happiness. It's very complicated. You can't measure rage and jealousy. You can't say, oh, jealousy index of this family office is 22. You can't put it. Therefore, you can't measure it. How do you manage it? These are the invisible, nirguna things that you have to see, predict, to prevent the collapse of the family business that you must have established with so much difficulty. When you have imagination, hunger and fear becomes infinite. You can imagine a world where sab kuch collapse ho sakta hai. Oh my God, you read the newspaper, everything will collapse today. Everything will collapse today. Bhay, pralay hoga, apocalypse will happen. Everything will collapse, sab kuch chala jayega. This fear is there all the time, and hence we need insurance agents. This is how you sell insurance. You keep frightening people. Sir, pata nahi hai, kal kuch bhi ho sakta hai. And then raise your margin by 2%. It always works because life is unpredictable. You never thought Donald Trump would be elected president. You didn't predict Brexit. Who did? Who predicted the meltdown? Anybody who predicted it was silenced. Ki sab negative baat karta hai, chup baitho. In the Bible, there's a character called Jeremiah who keeps telling ki qayamat aane wala hai, be careful, be careful. And he's told, shut up, keep quiet. Cassandra, who gives negative news and shall not be heard. And of course, the opposite is also true. We can imagine this. Look at this beautiful picture. It's based on the line from the Bible, the lion shall lay with the lamb. This is the capability of our imagination. We can imagine a world where all the family members will be happy and work with each other. Ram Rajya hoga. Bharat kahega Ram ko ki sir aap gaddi lijiye. Ram kahega Bharat ko aap gaddi lijiye. This wonderful world we can imagine. Kavya Kalpana. What a beautiful picture. It can only be created in Photoshop. And you know, this is a great brand in India. It's called Wagh Bakri Chai. ये कल्पना की दुनिया है. बहुत अच्छा लगता है. The world without hunger and fear, these are the two extremes, 0 and infinity. This is what imagination gives us. This is the gift that we have got as humans. And this imagination allows us to tame and invent things. We control fire, we control water. Every other animal goes to water. We get water into our houses. We control plants through agriculture. We control animals through animal husbandry. We control everything. We tame and invent everything. There's no difference between the stone implements and your mobile phone. These are just tools created. Yantra hai ye. It doesn't change your mind. Tumhare kalpana and mind has no impact on your mind. We are as terrified today of life as we were 1,000 years ago. It's just the cause of terror is different. And the most interesting thing about imagination is this. You see, when a bird looks into the mirror, it asks only 4 questions. Will that eat me? Can I eat it? Will it steal my food? Can we mate and produce babies? Is that a predator? Is that a prey? Is that a rival? Is that a mate? If it is no, 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 we don't care. We move on. But when humans look into the mirror, this is Narcissus from Greek mythology. Apna he's seeing his reflection, pratibimb, he's looking at his reflection. He's looking at his darpana. And he's looking and he's wondering, what is he seeing? Is he seeing himself or is he seeing an imagination of himself? What does he see? What do humans see when we look into the mirror? I look into the mirror and I think I am diamond. Then I go to the club and I meet all the people who are richer than me. And I feel I am plastic. And I feel depressed. And I go home and I meet my wife and say, what do you think, I'm diamond or plastic? And she says, you are not diamond, you are not plastic, you are cheap plastic. And I get very depressed because I thought I was diamond. Look at the business I've established. From zero, I've come to multi-millionaire. But in front of multi-billionaires and nobody, and in front of my wife, I'm nothing. And then you realize all three are imaginations. Diamond is an imagination. Plastic is an imagination. Cheap plastic is an imagination. My imagination, my wife's imagination, and it plays havoc in my life. I am desperate. मुझे identity चाहिए. I want to know who I am. How do others see me? This is a very important thing to remember in human relationships. There is a very good Hindi word for it. It is very brutal, but I shall say it. Its English translation doesn't capture its brutality. It's called औकात. तुम्हारी औकात क्या है? This is, we can use the word status for it. What is your status? Where do you stand in the ecosystem of family business? That is what happens in weddings, right? In the weddings, when all the men and women are coming to the family wedding, everybody is looking at each other's jewelry to figure out whether the business is up or down. In the last wedding, you wore the same jewelry. Flat curve. Your bag is, acha. We went to holiday to Paris. Economy class, business class, first class. कहाँ पे रहे थे? These conversation starts, and these are not, darshan karo. These are conversations of aukat. It's happening all the time. The desire to dominate. I am the alpha because I have the right bag. We are yearning for validation. Your father was so great in business. Oh my God, that's basically saying I am stupid. You're very rich. You come from a privileged background. I am self-made. हो गया ना बात? औकात बता दी आपकी. आपके पापा ने पैसे बनाए हैं, मैंने खुद बनाए हैं. These are conversations that happen. This is what happens everywhere. These are the architecture of insecurity that we have to navigate in family business. How does it feel when the CEO of the company looks at his son and says, Nikamma hai, and hires a professional who is brilliant and admires the professional and says, Kya aisa beta hona chahiye tha? And this guy is seething with rage. The fact is, the professional will never become the shareholder. And he says, one day I will take revenge. One day when Gaddi is mine, when Papa goes away, I will show you your place. Who does it affect, these emotions? Decisions of the business. It affects the top line, the bottom line. It affects everything. It affects every aspect of the business. It creates a culture of negativity. It happens all the time. The thing is, we want to know who we are. And what we have done, our mind has created a very clever trick. We have said, I am what I have. I am what I have. Now, this is an imaginary trick that the mind has created. मैं और मेरा. जो मेरा है वो मैं हूं. And if you, this is the essence of Indian wisdom. मैं और मेरा. My relationship with my business. I am my business. My business does well, I am great. My business doesn't do well, I am not great. I have more money, I am great. I have less money, I am not great. Aukat. You see, look at this. A child comes to the parent with a report card. Mummy, I got 99 out of 100 in math. Mother frowns. No, but Bhaiya got only 97 out of 100. Mummy smiles. Father looks and says, continuous comparison, but what are they looking at? Are they looking at the report card or are they looking at the child? क्या देख रहे हो तुम? Are you looking at the person or what he has done, his behavior, his achievements? We always look at achievements. We measure people by achievements. Your value is the sum total of your assets and your achievements. That is what we do all the time. It is so unconsciously done. How is it told in the scriptures, in the mythology? There is Duryodhan, the eldest Kaurava. His father is blind and his mother is blindfolded. Father cannot see, mother will not see. He feels invisible. वो लोग मुझे नहीं देख रहे हैं. Or look at this beautiful lady. Do we look at her or do we look at her beauty? If she didn't have beauty, would we look at her? And therefore beauty becomes important. तुम उसको देख रहे हो, मुझे नहीं देख रहे हो. You're looking at that, not me. You're looking at my luxury bag, not me. You're looking at my designation, not me. This plays a key role in businesses. We don't want to talk about it because we want to be professional and rational. We have Excel sheets to prove we are rational. But lots of things happen. You see, in all relationships, not just family relations, even any relationship in the world, when there are two people sitting across the table, there is me and mine, you and yours. मैं और मेरा, तू और तेरा. We have to decide what do we focus on. Do I look at you or do I look at yours? When I focus on mine and yours, we are in a transactional ecosystem. We can call that the world of the professional. That is why people say, अरे वो professional है, वो तो loyal नहीं होगा. वो loyal नहीं होगा, but merit आता है उसके साथ. So loyalty or merit, what do I want? But when I see you and me, he is loyal. I want him. He makes me feel safe. But talent nahi hai. Nahi, but chalega. Now the company needs talent and the Malik needs loyalty. What do you want? These are the conversations that happen. When you have this framework in front of you, it forces you to think, reflect and take certain brutal decisions if you are willing to. And that is what Ramayana and Mahabharata is all about. It is all about me and my property. It is all about me and my son. It is all about what I am and what I have. This is the framework that the mythologies offer. So I want to give you this framework. A framework where you look at who you are and what you have. Where you realize that people measure themselves on that basis. And good or bad, indifferent, I don't want to change the world. Aisi dunya hai. This is the way it functions. Now, how do we negotiate in this world? How do we get talent to work for us? How do we respect loyalty and balance loyalty and talent? How do we allow our children to have auqat but not control of the business? How do we ensure the professional gives me the best but does not feel cheated because he will never get a share of the business? How do we balance all that? How do we become wise? How do we become Raja Rishi? Not just having the ability to understand the framework, but taking crucial decisions carefully, knowing fully well the complexity of these things, as difficult as managing the stock market. And do we begin? When do we begin? When do we make our will? When do we decide we have an expiry date? These are conversations we need to have openly once in a while, at least in the family office. You see, that is the question we have to ask ourselves. Darshan karna hai ki nahi karna hai? So when I am looking at the Tirthankars of the world, when I am looking at the Buddhas of the world, when I am looking at the prophets, the Masihas of the world, when I am looking at the avatars of the world, when I am looking at gods and goddesses, the stories are not about magic. They are about human psychology. They are about our fears and hungers. हमारी भीतर की जो डर है, that fear which destroys society. Ramayana and Mahabharata, property disputes. Kashyapa looks at Garuda and says, you will always have a quarrel with the snakes. The snakes and the birds will always fight with each other. The snakes will eat the birds' eggs and the birds will eat the snakes. ये सनातन है. Because the birds, you all will always fight. How do you live together? How do you figure out a way to live together? That is important. You will see this as a repetitive pattern in Indian storytelling. This acknowledgement of hunger, fear, and identity. 3 words. If you just note down these 3 words, everybody is hungry, everybody is frightened, and everybody is seeking identity. Auqat, far more powerful word. And often our surrogate markers is what we have. That's our surrogate marker. And that is why I want to be the MD. That's why I want to be the chairman. That's why I want power. Not because I want to deliver, but because that gives me identity. Unfortunately, this is consequence. I would like to propose to people to think differently. Modern management is objective-based management. तो एक objective होता है, एक target होता है, and you go after the objective. I would like you to propose a very Indian approach to management, which is called management by consequence. Here you take karma into consideration. Your action, ask yourself, what is it a consequence of? And think about what are the consequences of your action. When you start considering this, life becomes, and at least have these conversations when your family is sitting together. It's very brutal and painful, but it's important. If we don't have these conversations, we will take foolish decisions. And suddenly we'll realize, and we'll ask those fundamental questions, why does my family business only last for 1 generation, 2 generations, 3 generations, while other family businesses seem to be lasting forever? Amrit chahiye, to darshan karo. If you want immortality, look at mortality in the eye. Understand fear, because the fear of death, वो जो भय है, the fear of death is only in the living. जहाँ जीव है वहाँ भूख है, जहाँ भूख है वहाँ भोग होगा, जहाँ भोग होगा वहाँ बलि होगी, जहाँ बलि होगा वहाँ कर्म होगा. This is an Indian phrase to understand how the Indian way functions. You always think of consequences. If you don't think of consequences, Mahabharata will enter your house. And while the Pandavas won the war, they lost all their children. A little lesson we are never told when we are told the story of the Mahabharata. We are always told that Pandavas ki jeet hui, Kauravon ka haar hua, the good people won, the bad people lost. And everybody who is fighting a court case thinks they are Pandavas. But the fact is, the Pandavas lose their children. Abhimanyu dies, Ghatatkoch dies, Draupadi's children die. The only heir they have is an unborn child. And that we don't want in our lives. Open the newspapers today, see the violence in families, and say, hey, is that why India is not shining? Since 80% of our businesses or 90% of our businesses are family businesses. And we have not taken advantage of our wisdom literature and mixed it with our management knowledge to create a lovely kheer, milk and sugar. They have to work together. And I hope all of you use this darshan in your respective family businesses and your clients who have families, so that you enable them to live happy, fulfilled businesses. Thank you. Thank you. We have time for questions, lots of questions really. So, can the mic be given, please? May I have the slides here, please, because I'll be referring to the slides a lot.
Devdutt, it was an awesome presentation from you. One thing I wanted to understand, given that majority of businesses in India are family businesses, what is the trend that you're seeing in terms of the promoters being able to sort of segregate the ownership from the management, or even the owners of the businesses wanting to get in more professional guys to run it?
Okay. I'll give you the brutal answer based on my experience. When the reporters come, everybody says we want the right person for the right job. But dil kuch aur bolta hai. And decisions are very different. Right? You even see this clinginess is there right from the beginning. And you see this in decision making because somewhere along the line you don't trust the professional. You feel he is working, because in India, we do not respect service. Now let me explain what I mean by this. हमारे यहाँ, when you will say कि I give you service, so you have to pay me money. ये एक दक्षिणा होता है. This is a cycle. We look at service as servant. And traditionally in India, the servant was not paid. Loyalty was asked. So loyalty is I don't pay you. If I pay you, then tum bazaru ho. And this is a culturally embedded in us, कि तुम बाजारू हो. And what is the English word for bazaru? Marketing. You're a product of the market. So tomorrow you'll go to a better seller or a better buyer. You are not loyal to me, and this insecurity feeds into our heart. And therefore I'm seeing in many families, although they claim to respect professionals, they would very clearly like the authority to rest with family. And I don't think it's a healthy trend. It's a complex battle which is going on in their heads. You can understand this fear, but we have to fight this fear and figure out, your son may be brilliant, your daughter may be brilliant, or the professional. We don't know which one will be brilliant. We don't know. And nobody knows really in the world, right? Some of the biggest companies in the world hire CEOs and throw them out after 3 years. So it is a complex decision making, and it becomes, your insecurities rise very hard because the whole family looks at you and is wondering whether you'll take the right decision. The good trend that I'm seeing is increasingly a lot of women are joining the businesses. That is a very positive trend, but we must be very careful. Is it cosmetic or is it systemic? Is it just naam ke vaste or genuine authority he is giving? And more importantly, we must look beyond gender at capability. So these are conversations which have to be had in the family, and I think at very early stages, not at the last minute. Many people wait for the last minute because in the old days, the Yuvraj would sit with the king, gaddi ke bagal mein baithte hain log, so that you learn over time what the trades. This is not happening enough. I don't see that happening enough, where they're sitting next to it. And I often see mentoring becomes about indoctrination. But these are complex ideas of mentoring and all that. But this becomes things to handle. But yes, I don't think we have got the emotional courage to balance the personal and the professional. That is missing, in my personal opinion. Yeah.
Just one more small thing on top of this. So when you look at the startups coming up in India and across the globe today, how do you compare them with the age-old or traditional businesses? I mean, do you really see the entrepreneurs in today's world?
See, one of the biggest problems with startups is they're wonderful when they're startups. The moment they have to handle 100 people and 1,000 people and 10,000 people, they rely on technology than emotions. Because in a startup, you need more emotions and less technology. As you go bigger and bigger and bigger, technology starts taking decisions for you. Algorithms, and it's a very good escape route. It's an escape route. Ki bhaiya main nahi kar raha hu, wo machine kar raha hai. Bell curve, you hide behind the bell curves. So I think we are many startup companies. Most of these guys come from engineering backgrounds. Most of them come from finance backgrounds with extremely poor understanding of human psychology. And therefore, they are not able to, very unlike some of the old businessmen who had an intuitive understanding. And the old business, where there was a sense of patronage and there was a larger view of things. We are missing that because everybody wants a quick $1 billion and I want to get out of the business. So startup karo, paise ka kamao aur bhag jao. So everybody is looking at this as a piece of meat I have to grab and run away with. There is no long-term commitment, which is something that we have to be a little wary of, because this kind of it's mercenary and it doesn't create large, viable, sustainable ecosystems, which is what countries like the whole world needs really. But that's what the Amazons are trying to create, that's what the Googles are trying to create. And I think how do you create large, viable, complex ecosystems? We need a little bit more investment in that area. Yeah?
Thank you.
Yeah, hi Devdutt. This is Manoj Chandalia here. Hi. So just taking a cue from the point that you were talking to him right now about even large companies firing out CEOs in 3 years' time. I mean, yes. We have this big thing which played out in this last month, Now, even if you look at that company, the entire problem started with the people who really set up the company, the initial founders, and they still feel that even though they may own 10% of maybe 15% of the company, they still want to run the company the way they were. So even if you look at a company like that size, with 30 years in existing, being listed, and with all corporate governance in place, independent directors, shareholders who are dominant foreign shareholders
Yes.
holding more than 50% of the company, still they are not been able to come out of that entire family,
Yes.
that bee concept that you talked
Yeah.
about, and the, wolf concept that you talked about, that I am the leader, I have to be followed, just, so I don't want to take names,
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. So even if the companies of that size, that stature, with that investments, and that level companies are not able to really come out of that entire idea of, I am final and I am the authority, how do you really think that a smaller companies of SME sizes can really think even about, coming to that level, because, we have this all playing
Yeah.
out in the last 30 days time that we've all
Yeah.
witnessed.
You see, it has nothing to do with wallet size. First, we must clarify, wisdom and wallet size have nothing to do with each other. They're totally different. The biggest assumption is because he has a large wallet size, he's also wise. It is the biggest mistake we make. In fact, it is the opposite. Whenever I meet people with large wallet size, very big, I'm like, oh my God, I'm entering the den of insecurity. Because the most powerful politicians, the most powerful business, they are terrifyingly insecure. And some of them mask it very beautifully by being simple. But the fact is, you have to recognize, and you see this trend in these organizations much earlier. Pehle se pata chalta hai. Some of these organizations, I have met them 10 years ago when I just started my career as talking on management and all that. And I would walk into the office and I would ask the HR head, tell me your talent management program. And they said, sir, we are struggling. And these are like billion-dollar companies. I'm like, where is your talent? If today the CEO is shot dead, killed, finished, it can happen in this horrible world we are living in, who is going to take over? Let's ask the question. Will banaya? No answer. And that for me was a key indicator that they're not thinking long term. And you're not thinking long term because you're clingy, like a dog clinging to a bone. This has to be recognized much earlier. You don't need it to reach the stage where it comes into a public display. Family businesses have to recognize this from the day you take office, you have to prepare for your funeral. That is what the Egyptians did. The day you become the pharaoh, you start building your tomb to remind yourself ki bhaiya, wahan jana hai, which we don't. Will kidhar hai? Will kidhar hai? First question. That is the question I asked you. We do not accept mortality. We think we are immortal. Very important. This is your indicator ki gadbad hai yahan pe. There is a gadbad. You have not made plans in your absence what will happen in your absence. So we do many of these policies and all that to impress the shareholder and to impress the media. Ki look how brilliant my company governance is. But the reality shows, na? The reality is kutte ke jaise lad rahe ho. So one has to be very clear about it. Never fall for the trap of my balance. Those annual reports will show all those wonderful things. Maya hai. Ask fundamental questions. What is your talent management program? Ashrama system, na? Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa. You will take over the company. What is the Brahmacharya phase? How many in your company are in the Brahmacharya phase, preparing and training for the next job they're going to do? Grahastha phase, where you're too busy making money and doing revenue to be bothered with training. But Vanaprastha phase, when you have not quite retired but preparing for the next generation. Just make a list of your family companies and say how many of your leaders, while they are in positions of power, are investing 25 to 30% of the time in training the next generation. That will give you the answer. They are too busy being in the battlefield. When will they train people? For that you have the CEO, na? CEO is doing the COO's job. What is the difference between a CEO and COO? CEO has to look at this quarter. CEO has to look 2 years later. Somebody has to look 20 years later. Therefore, this organizational structure has been created. But everybody is running after the number in the next quarter. Everybody is doing each other's job. Then you are not thinking again, nahi. And of course, if you ask them, they'll say, yeah, we are doing all the training. We have a training department also, where just check out when the revenue goes down, where the money is being cut. It will invariably be training. Check how much is that investment being done for the CEO, especially serious contenders. 5 years later, wo Raja banne wala hai. And you need to back up, right? You have to de-risk yourself because he may fall ill. So you need 2-3 backups. But we don't, this is a good Janma Patrika. That is why we had balanced scorecards. but we don't know how to use balanced scorecards. We don't figure out it's not just balance sheet of this year of profit has no meaning. You are thinking 20 years later. If you are talking about family businesses to last for several generations, तो आज की क्या सोच रहे हो? For that you have outsourced it already to the current CEO or somebody who is thinking long term. And these are the questions that we have to ask. See, these large companies, I can assure you, just go back to in history for the last 10 years, look at all the sheets, and I'm sure some scholar or research fellow will tell you all the things that went wrong, all the signs that were wrong, because they were not investing in talent. They were not in, I always, like for example, when the sales target is being achieved, everybody will run after the sales target. But just check, when the time for bonus comes, are everybody running to reach the deadline to give the bonus? Because people don't matter, profits matter. And once this happens, this mindset happens, the profit matters, shareholders matter more than the talent pool. Your future depends on your talent pool. We don't invest. We do not look at our expiry date. That grahastha ashram, ki ek din bhaiya, and the rule in the traditional systems was, when your child has a child, you should walk away. Fir vanaprastha shuru hota hai. Or sannyas, when your child's child has a child, you leave everything and walk away, completely away. So that was the mathematical model they had created to create sustainability. So we will claim to be religious and Hindus and all that. We don't follow.
Brilliant. Thanks.
Yeah, I had one question. So what actually,
Yes, thank you.
So it actually seems to be a complete impossibility to me to have any kind of evolved system, because if you say darshan, it requires lack of motive.
Did I say that?
In the beginning you said darshan is required to understand the emotions.
Yes.
I mean, I'm just laying down the context. And therefore, and that is what will really lead to appropriate management, understanding, etc. But in the family business, everyone would have a motive. So does it mean it will necessarily require external help?
Okay.
And therefore, external help also is finally professional, right? So there is a motive.
Yeah.
So therefore, to what extent, any which way, it can really evolve?
First, let me clarify. I never said there should not be a motive. All human beings will have a motive. The question is, what is your motive? Is your motive my growth, or is your motive the business growth, or is your motive the family growth? At which level are you there? So in the Jain traditions, there is the Mahapurusha system, where there is the Vasudeva, then there's the Chakravarti, and then there's the Tirthankara. Everybody looks at the world very differently. If at the beginning of your career you're chasing the number, and at the end of your career also you're chasing the number, you have a problem. If at the beginning of the career you're chasing the number, you're ambitious and hungry, but as you grow higher and higher and higher, you start saying that, I have achieved what I want to do, but I want to make sure that this business survives longer. And therefore my motivation shifts. So darshan is recognizing your own motivations and other people's motivations and figuring out in the ecosystem, if I want my business to survive long, if I want to sustain, when I'm not there, how will it function? So for example, in the American system, they created a rule that the inheritance laws were designed so that the next generation doesn't automatically feel entitled. They created a legal system, in America especially, they created a legal system where the next generation doesn't feel entitled. You are not entitled. You will be provided for financially, but authority nahi milega. Authority ke liye you have to apply through the same channel routes, which is the organization is separate. So Lanka is different from Lankapati. Dono ko separate karo. Ayodhya is different from Ayodhyapati. This separation, therefore, the entire Ramayana, Ram is serving, it's the story of a king, it is not the story of a husband. People make this big mistake. The Ram is serving Ayodhya. His family life is horrible. But everything is Ram Rajya, the subjects are happy. So you have to decide motivation kya hai. This motivation, darshan is about the ability to see everybody's motivation and figuring out whether architecture is healthy for short term, mid term, long term. Am I looking today? Money is important, but future it's about systems, processes, institutionalization, talent management. And talent, it would be nice to have someone in the family, but doesn't work all the time. So how do we figure it out? How do you handle a Karna or Jon Snow? So these are the things that we have to handle. And the thing is, nobody can predict the future. One thing we should remember, everybody is looking for certainties and guarantees. Whatever I will do, it will work guaranteed. There is no certainty in this world. In fact, they say Lakshmi's father, the goddess Lakshmi, father is the god of astrology, Bhrigu. Because you can't, the thing is, we can't handle the future. There is no guarantees in life. These wisdom allows us to come to terms with the fact that there are no guarantees in this life. But we have to take, at least let's take steps in that direction. Even though there are no guarantees, we should are we taking steps are we having honest conversations? I think once we start having a little bit of honest, not screaming, shouting matches within family offices, but genuine conversations about capabilities and proof of concepts. Ki bhaiya tum achhe ho to, the old Marwadi concept used to be ki shiksha ka paisa. Children who used to be very ambitious used to be given money and said, chak danda khol. Fully aware that that money is written off. Because if he fails, he'll come back with bowed head. If he succeeds, you have got a genius in the family. So this used to be called Siksha Ka Paisa. This used to be the money that the Marwadi families would give their children, especially the younger children, especially because they followed the feudal system of the elder getting more shares. So the younger brothers would be given money and said, karke dikha, kuch karke dikha. And you have, if you see the Marwadi ecosystem, you find lots and lots of success stories. Yeah? Thank you. I think we have run out of time. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pattanaik, for this wonderful session. I would request Mr. Aditya Gadge to please come on stage and felicitate our guest. And also requesting Mr. Sandeep Tandon to please come on the stage and felicitate our guest.